William, hopefully your favorite videographer from Two Hats Publishing. I welcome you to another Two Hats special of community events. Let's look in and see what's really happening.
Good afternoon and welcome to Lambda Weekly. I'm Dave Taffet here in the studio with the late Patti Fink, who was very, very early today, and Lerone Landis, who's very, very late today, but he'll be back next week. On the phones we have Jeremy. Welcome, Jeremy, and thank you for answering our phones. And why is he on the phones? Because it's
Pledge Drive.
It is Pledge Drive, and as we say here at Knon, each show gets its time slot based on the amount of pledges received. Not enough pledges, and the show is gone. Or we get moved to like 2 a.m. We don't want that, do we, Patti?
No. Wednesday at 7. I didn't like that.
Wednesday at 7, right.
A.M.
A.M., yes, that was torture for a year.
It was.
Although our numbers were through the roof that year that we were on in the morning. It was a good drive time slot. But it is Pledge Drive. So give us a call, 972-647-1893. That's 972-647-1893. Jeremy's are standing by. And unlike other stations that you pledge to, they're standing by right here in the studio. You're not calling the call center somewhere else in the country because we care about your pledges.
And Jeremy is not only standing by, he's waiting for your call.
Yes, he is. And the phones are not ringing yet, so give us a call, 972-647-1893. Costs us a lot to produce a show like this, but not so much. Our station expenses every month are about $63,000, and that includes everything from our no salaries to getting the signal from here to the tower. This year, one of the things we had to do was replace the cable that takes the signal from the ground, moves it up the tower to where the station broadcasts from, and gets the signal out. So that cable costs thousands of dollars to move it. Anyway, give us a call, 972-647-1893. The phone just started ringing. Thank you, Jeremy, for answering that, and we can start talking. Our guest is Candy Marcum, and today is our Counsel the Counselor show. Our Counsel the Counselor show is with Candy because, Candy, you just lost your mom, and we're real sorry.
Thank you.
And I know you don't want to talk about your mom today.
Not much, no.
Because you don't want to start crying on the air.
That's right. Even though they can't see me.
And I get that, but when I say it's our Counsel the Counselor show, Patti, you lost your parents.
Yes, I've lost both.
And I've lost mine. Your mom was 95 years old, or just about 95, and there are terrible things that you can say to somebody when you lose your parent when they're older. My mother died when she was 57. Oh, it was so terrible. She's so young. But when my father died 30 years later, and they were the same age, when my father died 30 years later, oh, he lived a nice long life. Yeah, but I still miss him.
Yeah, what has that got to do with it? You know?
Well, what it has to do with it is I actually knew my father longer. I knew him as an adult. I never knew my mother as an adult.
Right.
I mean, she was an adult. I wasn't. So I never developed that adult relationship with her that I did with my father. And in fact, for a long time, it was almost I was the parent, he was the child, because there were so many things he didn't know how to do as the adult himself, because he went from his mother's house to my mother's house. And so he learned to do the laundry, learned to do the cooking, learned to take care of himself. But we had this adult relationship, and when he died, I missed him, and I still do.
It was like a friend.
Mm-hmm.
I took care of Mother for the last 8 months. I moved her up here from Houston, where she had been totally independent, drove in Houston, lived in Houston by herself, and then moved her to Dallas. And even though she called me warden, I did have her up in Dallas and saw her every day. So we became closer than ever.
And closer than ever means that you had just a different relationship, and you spent a lot of time with her when she was here.
Yes, and I tell people that I had her put on an antidepressant, and it's the best thing I ever did. She was more attentive. She was the best version of herself. She listened. The family just loved her because she happened to be there for us more. So it's really wonderful to go out on top, and that's how she did. The people loved her. They loved her at the facility. Her family felt closer to her. It really, in many ways, was a blessing, but it still hurts like the dickens for me.
And you know what? It's one thing for you to say it was a blessing when other people tell you it's a blessing. It's like, no, it's not a blessing, because you might just be at that point. Here's my message, having gone through a year of grief. And for anybody who's listening who doesn't know what I'm talking about, my husband died last March.
Suddenly.
Very suddenly. Fine in that morning, came home, and he was passed out and
died.
Yeah. But don't let other people tell you how to grieve. Don't let other people tell you how you should feel, and
how long you should grieve. Or how long you should grieve.
Or how long you should grieve.
And when they say, "Oh, they're in a better place now," that doesn't help. That does not help. How do you know they're in a better place?
The other thing is, there are a whole number of things that really don't help. Oh, well, at least she didn't suffer. Well, you know, she was 95. I'm sure she wasn't feeling great.
How do you know she didn't suffer?
Right.
Were you there? I was.
She lived a nice, long life. Yes, and that's part of why I'm grieving the way I am.
Yes, yes.
So, you know, it's one thing to talk about what a wonderful person that person was. And I know in the biography you put online about her, you know, she's served in World War II, and, you know, she just had a nice, long, wonderful life, and that's great. But it's different to say, oh, well, she lived a long life, and, you know, and to say, and to talk about some of the wonderful things that she did, because those things indicate, I never knew her, but I'll miss her too.
Yeah, I think it's touched a lot of people. To be honest with you, David is the one that put this online, not me, because I'm kind of a private person. But we put it online because we're starting a foundation scholarship for her with the Chamber for people who want to go into the nursing profession. She was a nurse. Mother was an RN in World War II, and then kept her license current. She was a housewife for about 25 years, and then moved to Houston and worked 20 years at Methodist and retired at 70, and then volunteered 20 more years at MD Anderson till she was 90. So I thought she personified what an RN is, and so I think to start a scholarship for GLBTQA folks in her name would just be perfect.
Yes.
And you know something, in a way, that's a wonderful way to grieve.
Yes.
And worked for me, because we started the Bryan Fund, and we did it through Congregation Beth El Banah. And here's one of those things when I was talking about, you know, holidays, birthdays, anniversaries, everybody tells you, oh, those are so terrible. They were, but I prepared for them. The things you don't prepare for, like you said on the way in.
Oh, Pastor House, yeah. Wow.
You know, the things you're not expecting are the things that can be the triggers. So with the Bryan Fund, it's for LGBT kids who are homeless or in some way to help LGBT kids. So,
and to have a legacy. See, Bryan now has a legacy.
Well, let me tell you, when I bought I'm calling it a pool table full of socks, because they were collecting them. The Lost Souls rugby team was collecting socks for homeless LGBT youth.
Oh, okay.
And so I bought basically help them fill a pool table full. I bought out all the socks at Family Dollar, and all I could hear Brian saying to me the whole time was, okay, but there's another dollar store over there. Why don't we buy theirs too? Because some kids might not get. And as good as I felt doing that, knowing that that's something that Brian would have insisted on doing, I also heard the argument we would have been having in the car.
Which was?
Which would be, can we stop there too? You know, they might have. How do you know they don't? Are you sure that every kid is going to get one?
Erin actually was involved in passing those out. She did the youth count 2 nights this last week.
And is that where they distributed them?
Yes. So they went out to do the count.
Wow, of the homeless. What she's talking about is the homeless adolescents.
Yeah.
We still have this issue. As far as we have come in the gay movement, we still have young people who are not safe to come out at home, and so they leave home and become homeless. And there was a count of them a couple of weeks ago, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's where Erin was handing out the socks. That's great.
Yeah.
That's
That is
wonderful.
nice to know.
Yes, that is a legacy.
Yeah.
And actually, like 40% of kids who are homeless, and adolescents who are homeless, self-identify as LGBT.
Yes.
That's an enormous number.
Yes.
So the chances of running into a homeless kid who is going to be gay or
Gay.
trans is pretty high. Almost
Yes.
1 in 2.
Right. And if some of the socks went to kids who are homeless, who are not LGBT, that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like there's a wall between who can be helped and who can't be helped.
Right.
So, and speaking of walls, we have some here at KNON, but we might not without your support.
Very good, David.
Taffet segue. Woo!
I always like to do a good segue because I hate to interrupt by saying, Patty, could you please close your mouth for a minute?
We're glad you don't do that.
No, I don't do that. But it is Pledge
I'd
Drive.
say something if you did.
It's Pledge Drive right now. Patty, would you like to tell us something about some of the somethings that I gave you on some sheets?
Yes. The next level French Terry zip up. It's an 8.8 ounce hoodie. A stylish long sleeve navy blue zip up hoodie with 2 front pockets. 2 drawstrings, the KNON logo, and the hoodie liner is gray. So we have sizes from small all the way up to 3XL, and you get one of those, and they're super nice
Yes.
at a $100 pledge.
Okay, next Sunday, the February 11th, is the annual Mardi Gras Gumbo Party. You and Erin love going to this.
Oh, we plan to go.
Okay, so we have tickets available for it. Now, this year's gumbo competition will be bustin' loose with gumbo, is what they tell us. Chefs include returning champion Mark Monday and the Renegade crew returning People's Choice champ Joey Alette from Team Building with Taste, Chef Chris Lalonde from El Centro, Chef Keith Button Hicks from Buttons. A whole bunch of people are going to be there with live music from JB and the Zydeco Posse. Okay, 4 levels of tickets. $125 gets you a pair of tickets and a T-shirt. $100 gets you 2 tickets. Now, those 2 tickets gets you into the event and gets you first in line for the gumbo.
Woo!
Okay, now we also have 2 pairs of tickets for general admission. $50 gets you 2 pairs of tickets, $75 gets you 2 pairs of tickets and a T-shirt. Usually a T-shirt goes for a $40 pledge. If you have enough KNON T-shirts, and I know a number of our listeners do.
What is enough? What is enough? Really?
Well, I have a drawer full.
I do too.
That's enough. You could also substitute the T-shirt for a cap or an apron, the KNON apron, which is popular. So $100 gets you 2 tickets, $125 pair of tickets and a T-shirt, and all that gets you first in line for the gumbo. $50 2 tickets, $75 gets you a pair of tickets and a T-shirt. That's without the gumbo.
And if you go, this has been true for us, and last year's was fantastic. As many may know, my wife, Erin Moore, is a NOLA native.
Yeah.
And she knows her gumbo. And there are styles of gumbo that are represented at this thing that are amazing. Erin says, I haven't seen somebody prepare gumbo in this way since I was a little kid. You know, she said you see it in little regions of Louisiana. So if you want to experience it, whether it's seafood or chicken or sausage, they got it all. And it is fantastic. You get to sample everybody's gumbo, and it's awesome.
And the number is 972-647-1893. That's 647-1893. 972-647-1893. Give us a call. Operator is twiddling his thumbs, although thank you to people who called in earlier. 972-647-1893. Another way that you can pledge is you can go online, knon.org, hit the Pledge Now button. It'll list the pledge premiums, and you can make your pledge online. Make sure that you put in Lambda Weekly, otherwise your pledge, it still comes to the station, goes to the same things, but we don't get credit for it. And
Right.
we do have minimums that we need to make for each pledge drive, and that helps us make that pledge premium.
And
So-
if you can't spell Lambda Weekly, because a lot of people mess it up and it's kind of a tough word, then just put LW, or just put that gay show or that queer show.
Yeah.
Or, you know.
or Patti Fink,
Yeah.
the late Patti Fink, or in memory of the late Patti Fink.
I'm not done yet.
972-647-1893. That's 972-647-1893. Jeremy's are standing by. 972-647-1893. I'd say let's go to our, well, I could do that just manually. I was going to say, but I don't have it queued up. So why don't you say something, and I'll cue, and then we'll go to our
There's some
break.
great, I have a whole list of some great factoids about KNON, and I love this one. We don't play top 40, we play the bottom billion.
And that would be true, and we're not a normal talk show.
We're not.
No.
We're not. More legends are heard on KNON.
Mm-hmm.
Right here.
Mm-hmm.
Right here.
Mm-hmm. And I think we're becoming some of those legends because
Yes.
we're
two
known
are,
we're
without
known
doubt.
for not doing a talk show like normal people do, or as I've been told by more than one person, you don't ask questions like other reporters, do you?
Normal is a setting on the dryer.
That's right.
Why don't we take our break? You're listening to Lambda Weekly on 89.3 KNON FM. It's Pledge Drive, 972-647-1893, and we'll be back with more of our Counsel the Counselor show right after this.
William, I download Lambda Weekly podcast from lambdaweekly.com.
And welcome back to Lambda Weekly. I'm Dave Taffet here
Pass
in the
the gumbo.
studio. The gumbo? Okay, so we just got a call. Thank you, whoever's calling. Thank you, Mike, for calling earlier.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, Mike's been a pleasure to Lambda Weekly for years and years, and we do appreciate it. It is noticed here, so thank you very much. It is Pledge Drive, 972-647-1893. That's 972-647-1893. Give us a minute because Jeremy is on the phone with somebody. Our guest is Candy Marcum. Candy is always our Super Bowl Sunday Pledge Drive guest, and boy, do we appreciate that.
Who's playing?
Two teams we don't care about.
I have a new manager at work, and he's actually born and raised in Massachusetts, and I asked that on our staff meeting on Friday, and he's like, ha, ha. And somebody who didn't really get it, and on the team said, Eagles and Patriots.
Well, they asked me at work, who do I want to win? I said, the Cowboys. They said, well, they're not playing. I said, you asked who I want to win. That's who I want to win.
Now there's a fan. There's a fan.
So don't ask me.
We haven't won and been to the Super Bowl in 26 years, but there's a fan.
So don't ask me stupid questions. Who do I want to win?
I thought it was interesting, especially with you, a writer here, that there was the AP Style book tweeted that you're supposed to call it the 2018 Super Bowl, not the LII. so that you can refer to them as by the year. And there was just a revolt apparently on Twitter, and say we've been talking about it with Roman numerals for LI years.
For 51 years, I love that.
Yep.
Well, 2 years ago, I was wondering why it was Super Bowl LI, because this is LIII.
Yeah.
No, this is LII. Just two I's.
Oh, this is 2 I's. So last year, I guess it was. Yeah. And I was wondering, why is this the Long Island Super Bowl? It's not being played.
Well, it is supposed to be the coldest one in history.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because
supposed
Dallas
to be-
was pretty cold.
The
several
high,
years ago.
the high in Minneapolis for the game is supposed to be 8.
But it's inside.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, but you have to get in there. You have to
I
park
don't
your
have
car
to.
And get in. No, you don't have to.
Nobody is forcing anybody to go. That's how I feel. Okay, so this is our Counsel the Counselor show. Candy is a counselor, and she has helped and counseled so many people in the community over the years, millions and millions of people.
Don't you know?
So
And I started when I was 10.
she
You're
must have.
just that prodigious.
That's
young
right,
age.
because Candy, along with me, we're in our extremely late 30s, and so
Yes.
it's just hundreds of thousands of people.
Even Jeremy laughed.
I'm in my 20s.
But Candy lost her mom about 10 days ago, and so this is our Counsel the Counselor show. I certainly have gone through a terrible year. And Patty, you lost your parents.
Yeah. Lost my mom at a young age. I was 24. So I did get to know her
See,
a
I
little
beat
bit.
you. I was 23.
Well, I did get to know her as an adult a little bit, and I was coming into adulthood, but it was hard. It was very sudden, and it was difficult to adjust to that. And in fact, it kind of bumped my career path off somewhat.
You were really young, and a mother is so important. Even at my age, and I'm 67, you're never too old to have your heart broken by your mother dying. But at 22 or 23 or 24, I mean, you're just kind of getting out of the gate,
Yeah.
and a mother would have been a tremendous help for you.
Well, we had such a tenuous relationship at times. There was a lot in there that I had not processed with her.
Because
So I had to do
she
it all by
died
myself.
too young. Right.
Afterward, and I did.
Like the time your mother tried to sell you for a couple of camels and goats?
sheep.
Sheep. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was a pretty wild moment in Libya, but I don't hold that against her.
I'm sure she was kidding.
Well, the guy standing in front of us, he's asking how much for me.
She was 13,
Yeah.
marriageable age.
Yeah.
So 2 sheep.
Oh, it was a number of camels, a lot of sheep. Some
But
fabric.
she didn't sell you. But she was
No,
tempted.
she listened. I'm like, stop.
She was bargaining and saying, "See, I don't know if 2
She goes,
camels
I
are
don't know how
enough."
high he'll go.
Have you seen the episode of Absolutely Fabulous?
See, one of the problems, though, also was they were in Libya temporarily. I mean, for a number of years, but how do you get those camels back into the United States?
Yeah.
It would have been difficult, so they decided it was easier to take Patty.
But it shows what a great sense of humor your mother had.
Oh, yeah.
Great sense of humor, like you and like Aaron.
And Aaron's mom had a great sense of humor. She was really pretty funny.
Pretty funny.
Yeah.
So, and when you're grieving, I found it easier to talk about some of the funny stories about Brian, some of the funny stories about my parents after they died. And I know people are always, I don't want to make the person laugh. But it's good to laugh. If that's how you remember the person, you remember those good times. That's a good thing to do.
It's a very good thing, especially if whomever you were with was funny and who isn't funny. I got emails from my hometown girlfriends, and one of them said, "Of all the mothers, your mother was the funniest." And she was. She was very funny. When I told her she was having to stay in this wonderful senior citizen facility, she was like, I'm going to go back home to Houston. I said, well, Mother, I'm selling your house. And she went, I'm going to be 94 and homeless.
See, and after my mom passed, we went home. We all went home. My dad, my sister, and I went home, and we were gathering things to take to the funeral home. And for all of our lives, I can't even remember a time when it wasn't true. We always could not leave the house for anything until we found the keys, my mom's keys, and her glasses. And I mean, it was a big hunt. We had to find the stuff before we could leave, you know. So it was a process. Mm-hmm. And as we were leaving, we saw on the dining room table were her glasses, and we said, "We got to get the glasses."
Yes,
you know?
yes.
And so we actually, you know, she had those when she went because that's the way she would have had it.
Uh-huh.
Got to have the glasses and the keys. You know,
That's cute.
So-
Cute memory.
You know, I'm just starting to go through some of Brian's paperwork.
Huh.
Clothes are fine. The paperwork I had trouble going through. Some people will advise you have to get rid of all of that person's stuff right away. Why?
Yeah, why?
Not in my way.
Right. What's the hurry?
Yeah, what's the hurry? I mean, if you have to clean out somebody's apartment, that's different.
Yeah.
So that you're not paying rent on it, but somebody who's living there with you, why? What's the hurry? Those are one of those triggers, though, that sometimes you'll come across something, oh, good, I'm glad I found this, and other things it was like, oh.
And seeing a person's handwriting, because like my mom had very distinctive handwriting, as did my dad and Aaron's parents, and so when we see things that are handwritten, mostly what I run into now are recipes
And her handwriting.
in her handwriting.
Oh,
but
that's
I
wonderful.
really cherish those because
Yeah.
she was so neat. For one, I knew I could read the recipe. But it's kind of like cool, like, oh, cool, another one from mom, you know?
Yeah, I was going through text messages because I needed to find one from a while ago, and I hit one of Brian's not text messages, voicemail messages. And
Oh, you heard his voice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was just telling me to pick up some milk on the way home.
Oh, but still, there he is.
Yep.
Kind of having a little visit with him, you know?
Yeah.
I kind of see it that way.
So, Valentine's Day is coming up.
Yes, it is.
Is that going to be a trigger for you?
Yes, it will. I just thought about it the other day. We have a friend who's born on February 14th, Nancy, and we always get together, about 3 or 4 couples of us, and do her birthday. And the reason that that's important is because my mother's birthday is February 14th.
Oh, my.
So, like I said, she died about 2 weeks before her 95th birthday. And I think it'll definitely impact me. And I'm thinking, I hope I can have fun at this annual thing that we always do for Nancy. The reason Mother wasn't involved is she lived in Houston, and we would go down there in May for Mother's Day. You know, it's 3 months later. But this year, because Mother rallied, I mean, we did Thanksgiving and we did Christmas, and I thought, well, we'll do her birthday with Nancy. Well, we won't. So that's hard.
Have a toast,
Oh, definitely.
you know?
Yeah, I'll talk about it. And they've all met my mother, so that'll be
That's extra
good, too.
special.
Yes. Yes.
You know, and talking about dates that trigger, I have my own fakakta dates that
Your
that
own
were
what kind of date?
fakakta.
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 Fakakta? Is that a Jewish thing?
It means crazy.
Oh,
Made
I
up.
thought Shugama.
The Meshuggah is
Meshuggah.
Meshuggah is also crazy, but this is
A different kind of
this is dumb ideas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, anniversaries were hard. The anniversary that hit me with Brian the most was one that comes from my mother. My mother died when I was 23. When I turned 46, I realized, oh, now I've lived more than half my life without her.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
that one hit me.
Yes.
Brian and I were married in June, and he died in March, 9 months later. Well, 9 months after that, it was like, oh, now I'm a widow longer than I was a
Oh,
married
you
person.
Were married. Yes, yes. I think people do the
Odd
numbers
dates.
without a doubt.
Odd, which is not an official anniversary of anything. It's just
But I think it's like when you turn the age of the person who died. Now, when I'm turned 95, I probably won't even remember who I am. But you do. You look at ages of your parents and think, you know, I'm that age now. Weren't they competent, like in their 20s and 30s? It's kind of hard to see because they were always your parent and a grown-up. But when you hit that age, well, I'm not so much a grown-up. You know.
And speaking of age, I forgot that we have this pledge drive. We have to announce the phone number. Give us a call, 972-647-1893. That's 972-647-1893. Did we sell some of the gumbo tickets?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Could you pass me that sheet? I do want to promote the event, and if anybody can go, it's next Sunday, February 11th. Doors open at 4, music at 5 at Poor David's Pub, located 1313 South Lamar. That's just south side from downtown. The live music will be from JB and the Zydeco Posse. Last year's winner of the Gumbo Cook-Off will be there, along with a number of other people cooking gumbo. For $125, you get a pair of tickets and a T-shirt. $100 just gets you the tickets, but it gets you first in line for the gumbo. Now, if you'd just like to go general admission to hear the music, and the gumbo party is lots of music and goes on for hours. It's a lot of fun. Patty and Aaron always go. I'm saying always, but you've been for the last number of years.
Oh, we almost always go.
You almost always go. Okay.
And it's always music from the bayou, you know.
So it's $50 gets you 2 tickets, $75 gets you a pair of tickets and a T-shirt. Normally a T-shirt cap, apron, those pledge drive items are normally $40. So you're saving money. 972-647-1893. Phones are ringing. Thank you very much. So let's get back to our conversation. We're talking to Community Counselor Candy Marcum, but this is our Counsel the Counselor show.
That's right.
And, she's going through grief, and my biggest advice, we started a grief group for LGBT couples where you've lost your partner, because there was nothing like that here. And in Dallas, if we don't have one of those groups for something, what do? We start a group.
Good for you, Dave.
So,
good for you.
it's in my Dallas gay blood.
Yes,
you
it
don't
is.
have one, you start one. So
We are problem solvers.
Yes.
So in the group, the one thing I learned, all of us, the circumstances of the deaths completely different. Members of the group from 32 to in their 70s, circumstances of the death completely different. I was married for 9 months. One person in our group was married for 48 years, or with his
Wow.
partner 48 years. So completely different circumstances and stories. And the other thing is, all of us grieve differently.
Yes.
Um,
There's no right way to grieve. And there's no really wrong way. There might be unhealthy, like if you're loaded all the time because you don't want to feel it. But if you're in touch with your feelings, there's no wrong way to do it.
There's another wrong way that's almost like that. It's if you're so obsessed with the person who died that it's getting in the way of your moving on with your life. If it's making you contemplate suicide, if it's making you do other unhealthy things, well, like drinking,
Yeah.
that would be a wrong way, and you need to get some help.
Yeah, and sometimes people get in those places. They get stuck. Maybe they have a history of depression, and this really adds to it more than anything that they've coped with. And so going and talking to somebody, it's magic. It really, really, really helps. David, what I had noticed back during the AIDS crisis is that these young men would be taking care of a spouse or a partner, I guess back then, day in and day out for months, and then their partner dies. And almost everyone that I visited with, they wanted to help somebody with HIV. And I'm thinking, now, listen, you just went through 4 or 5 months of this, but that's what they were used to doing. And they wanted to do that again. That's what reminded me of your friend you talked to.
Do you know
about.
from the film The Dallas Buyers Club?
Yes.
Mary Franklin, who was one of the people who helped start the AIDS Food Pantry,
Yes.
NPR had called me and asked me, do I know anybody who was involved? And Mary was one of the people who
Yes, she's
worked at the
wonderful.
Dallas Buyers Club when it was the actual Dallas Buyers Club. And so they were asking her several questions, and they said, well, how did you deal with all of the people who died? How did you grieve? She said, we didn't grieve. We didn't have time to grieve.
No, you move on to the next one.
Move on to the next one. That you're in the hospital helping this person. He passes away. You go to the funeral. You go back to the hospital to help somebody else. And it's taken us as a community, our generation, time to learn that it's okay to grieve this long for one person, and that you don't have to go on to the next one in case that person is dying, or
Right.
it's okay to work through and learn to live and learn to fill in your life with other
Right.
things.
And I think that's a prime example of not being able to grieve. And in some circumstances, it also happens that maybe you've got kids and you got to keep taking care of the kids. But I remember, I don't know what year it was, but I'm sure it was a good 8 years after AZT came along and everybody was living, that I went to New York and saw, not Les Boheme, but the gay one.
Rent.
Rent, yes. And when that thing was over, we were all supposed to go out to dinner, and I just couldn't stop crying. I said, I can't do anything. All the grief that I had not been able to do came up during that musical. I just wanted to go back to the hotel and cry, and that's what I did. But you don't know it's there until you stumble on it, and then there it is. And so whenever you have your grief, you have it, you know.
And I think it's a really important thing to remember that I don't think we ever really finish.
No.
You know, when I think about my mom, I'm talking about my mom here, or my dad, or Aaron's parents. That's a part of grieving still, you know. And I remember hitting that point where I was 24 then, and I was turned 48 and then 49, because I'm in my 40s now. And I
Her
commented,
extremely late 40s.
yes,
Extremely.
I commented to my older sister, and I said, you know, I've lived longer without her now than I ever did with. And,
Right.
you know, so you kind of mark those moments, but especially when I'm with my older sister, we talk about family a lot, and of course our parents are dead. So,
But you're right. It gives you the opportunity to continue to grieve. It's just an ongoing process. It's not a very positive way to look at life, but I can see where life is a series of losses.
And
So
speaking
it's
about
important.
losses,
Oh, it's time for pledge drive?
it is, because you might lose this show if we don't get a few more pledges. 972-647-1893. That's 972-647-1893. This could be a perfect time to call. Jeremy is off the phone right now. He's waiting for the phone to ring.
And it has been ringing.
It has been ringing, yeah. Another way to pledge is going online and pledging. Go online to Knon.org. Thank you. See, that's another loss, my mind.
Of all the things I've lost, it's my mind I miss the most.
You can go online to Knon.org, press the Pledge Now button, and I do want to thank Drew, who made a very nice pledge. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Drew. Thank you,
Drew.
We do appreciate that. And give us a call, 972-647-1893. We're going to take a break. You're listening to Lambda Weekly on 89.3 Knon FM, and we'll be back with more right after this.
This is Jake Winters from Leicester, England, and I listen to Lambda Weekly on Knon 89.3 FM.
And this is Lambda Weekly on 89.3 Knon FM. I'm Dave Taffet here in the studio with the late Patti Fink. Lerone will be back with us next week, and our guest is Candy Marcum. It is Pledge Drive this week, so give us a call, 972-647-1893. That's 972-647-1893. One of the reasons we're talking about, phone's been ringing this hour. And Candy, you think it might be because of the Super Bowl.
I
No,
do, but I think it's Mother.
I think it's her mom.
I think Mother's watching and she's thinking, oh my God, those phones need to ring.
And she's making people call. Could
She's
be
doing
that.
a great job.
972-647-1893. That's 972-647-1893. One of the ways that you can pledge, and this is really very helpful, is to make a monthly pledge to KNON. Just call us, tell us that you'd like to make a monthly pledge of whatever amount that you'd like. We suggest $30 a month, because $30 a month, $1 a day, except in February. But then it's a
Yeah,
little
but
bit
then
more.
other days are 31.
That's true, so it balances out with March and January.
Sure. Yeah.
You can make a monthly pledge that will be automatically deducted from your account. Reason I say it helps so much is because that way the station has steady income coming into our bank account, because it costs over $60,000 a month to run the station. That's mostly electrical, rent, phone bills, things like that, that keep the station running, and repairing equipment, because we don't have the newest equipment.
And I remember recently, not that long ago, when Gene Soslow was elected to the board of KNON, and he DJs other shows and stuff, and fills in for the Jewish Music Hour sometimes. And I made a plea to him. I said, please talk to the board about getting our 0 salaries on direct deposit, because that would really expedite getting that nothing. And he said he would do that. So
I think it's been accomplished.
I think it has.
Yeah.
I think it has.
Yeah.
So far, so good.
Yeah, mine's always
we can
not
get
there.
That 0. Yeah, mine's, and it's there. It's really not there quickly. You know.
That's pretty funny.
Thursday morning.
But our phone bills have been paid, and the not ours personally, but the station phone bill. We're a 55,000 watt station, so our electric bill is thousands of dollars a month. So give us a call, 972-647-1893. That's 972-647-1893.
And another way to give that's really cool, and if you are interested in the Gumbo tickets, this is another way to look at it. You can become an elite music sponsor at KNON, which Aaron and I have done in the past. It's for $500. But for $500, you get a pair of tickets to every KNON benefit for a whole year, and 2 pledge items. So you can get like a T-shirt and a canvas bag or an apron, and get into probably 40, 45 shows a year. If you love live music, and most of them involve food, like the Gumbo Mardi Gras party, this would be a great opportunity to
make your money up definitely in 5 concerts.
Oh, easily.
But you really are making it up with the food, with everything else. It's a bargain at 3.
And you don't even have, the great thing is you don't even have to worry about the tickets, because you're just your name and you're with a guest is on the list at every event. So you just basically say, hey, I'm here.
And if you'd like to be a KNON super music sponsor, super elite music sponsor, we have $89,194 to go for Pledge Drive. If you'd like to make an $89,194 pledge, actually you could just round it off to 89,000, because we've gotten some pledges already.
Today.
The show before us, the gospel show at 11:10, 11 o'clock, they got a number of pledges, so just round it off. And you know what you get in addition to, you get 3 pledge items. You get into every show, and Patty will shut up about Pledge Drive.
And we've even put a plaque on the wall with your name.
Put a plaque on the wall with your name out in the lobby. 972-647-1893. That's 972-647-1893. Candy, I want to ask you a question. Okay. It's Super Bowl Sunday, and this is the #1 day for reported domestic violence abuse of the year. And Candy's just shaking her head because...
You know what that says to me, and I know you have more to say about it. What that says to me is there's too much drinking going on, alcohol abuse. And not that people do not abuse people only when they're drunk. They do it when they're sober also. But I would think that alcohol overuse would be a primary reason for that. But what other reasons do you have, David?
They say that the Super Bowl is kind of a turning point in the year, almost a New Year's. It's the end of all the holiday seasons. People are... they go through the whole season, and there might be disappointment in who's even in the Super Bowl. And it means that much to so many people. So it's the last of the holidays. It's the last of the old year, beginning of the new year. Valentine's Day is coming up. And with Valentine's Day coming up, some disappointment in what we're going to do for Valentine's Day. For you, Candy, you said it's your mom's birthday, so it's the first time you'll go through a Valentine's Day without her. For me, it'll be the first time I'm going through a Valentine's Day without Brian. Not that we always had big plans, but we'd go out to dinner.
Yeah, that counts.
And that counts. And it might have been just to one year we went to Humpty's. it wasn't always something
But
big,
it counts.
but we went and did something
posted
that
to
night.
each other,
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
You know, I also think it's also being indoors a lot because it's winter.
And Puxatawny Phil did see his shadow.
Oh, he did
So
6 more
so
weeks.
6
yeah.
more weeks.
But I think for me to put it on drinking or being indoors too long is not really fair to what it really is about. And what it's about is control, wanting to control someone. And so you belittle them or you separate them from their family so their world is smaller and smaller and only you are in the world. You make sure that you have control of the money, and then it can go as far as physical abuse. But it is about control, and it is about someone feeling out of control. So being able to control someone else really does it for them. And then they can come around and say, listen, Valentine's Day is next week. Let me make it up to you. Let me buy you a gift. And so the person stays in it.
Yeah. But I think, too, there might be another factor, and I think this is truer in recent years than like when I was growing up and watching the Super Bowl. Times change, and it gets reflected in these million-dollar ads. We see a lot of serious issues addressed in some ads in some incredibly innovative and creative ways. And when those ads come during the game, you know, that can start riling up some folks. You know, like for example, this year has been the Me Too. You know, this last year, and you know, maybe
And don't you know that's threatening to
Yeah.
people who need to control another person?
Sure, it is.
That someone can find their voice and say Me Too. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think maybe that can contribute to it, or at least get an argument started sometimes. But I think we have to remember that we're just going to be passive in watching those. You know, I mean, I don't know if they want us to go out and buy Budweiser if they show the Budweiser Clydesdales going by in some heartwarming thing that's going to make us all tear up. You know, but that's ultimately what they want to do. They just want to sell us something, and that's what that's all about.
Okay, so you know what my favorite, this is going off topic sort of, my favorite Super Bowl ad of all times was. It's 1995. Mario Cuomo and Ann Richards had both been just voted out of office. And so they're sitting on a couch together, and they're talking about the Super Bowl, and Mario Cuomo says, well, and the Cowboys were in it until the very end. And he says, well, I'm sorry about your Cowboys. And she said, well, they always won when I was in office.
They were eating Doritos.
They were eating Doritos. I think
Yeah.
it was a Doritos ad, right. My
you miss
favorite,
Ann Richards?
my favorite Ann
definitely.
Richards, right.
For sure.
Yeah. So anyway, what can be done to prevent domestic violence, though? Because I'm saying today is the #1 day that it's reported, but it goes on. I mean, chances are it's not the first time that it's happened in that family.
You know, there are some programs for that. For women, there are women's shelters that not only give them a place to go, but also there's programs. There's groups about how to manage yourself and your money and get a job and get on with your life. But it's usually about separating from the abuser. But for the abuser, there's also a program, and for some reason I'm blanking on the name of it, for abusers. And it teaches them to accept the responsibility, because what they want to do, let's say it's a traditional male against female, there are all kinds. Women abuse men, women abuse women, men abuse men, but I'm just going to do a traditional heterosexual situation. It teaches them to accept the responsibility of being out of control, of needing to be in control, and owning their part of it and understanding more about why they do that. So there are programs for this. This is being addressed. You hear more about it now. But what's the most important thing is for the victim to get out of that situation. And for the perpetrator to go get some help because they got a problem.
You know, like when I was working as a paramedic and teaching it, one of the first things you learn, like with a burn, is to cool the skin, stop the heat. And that's really what you have to do in the same situation. You have to get out of the situation first.
Right.
You can't begin to deal with it till you're out.
Till you're out. And I just remember the name of the course for the men. It's called BIP, BIP, Batterers Intervention Program. And a lot of it is underwritten by the state. So these people, men and women, can go get help when they're out of control like that. And a lot of times this program keeps them from going to the pokey. So even though they may not want to be in it, they don't want to go to jail, and they learn something. And the women learn that they have more value than to stay in an abusive situation.
And one of the problems that some people have is they don't have a way to get away from, they can't afford to get to their family in another state. We have a new group in Dallas called, I think it's called Flight to Freedom, and what they do is every month I get a report just at the newspaper of how many people they've helped. And they generally help 5, maybe 10. But what they're doing is they're getting them from Dallas to, it might just be bus fare to, or train fare over to Fort Worth, or it could be a flight across country. It could be just physically picking them up at their door and getting them out of the situation and to a shelter. But it's a number of people that they help every month.
You know, I
and they help
think
to
that's
get out.
wonderful, and help needs to go further than that, because once they're gone from the situation, a certain percentage come back, go back into the situation. There's a group of folks that work with this in all communities, but the GLBTQ community is starting to hear about this, that it may not be a bad thing to stay if your leaving will escalate everything, that you have to be careful how you leave. And I
Well, look at that family
was
in
good.
Plano where she left and they were having a party celebrating her freedom, and the ex-husband came back, killed everybody at the party.
Yeah.
It was like 9 or 10 people.
Right. So many times the victim knows what to do and is careful with what they're doing, and so that the rest of us need to be there and help them as they do this, and listen to them when they say he's going to go off when I leave.
And especially if there are children involved.
Yes.
Children in a
Yes.
home need to make sure that everybody is safe when they make a big change.
I just want to wrap up. Candy, thank you so much for being here. You know, I spoke to Candy earlier in the week, Patti, and I said, it's okay if you can't make this week. This is the week we have scheduled. You're always there on Super Bowl Sunday. And Candy said, no, having a normal week is healthy for me.
Yeah.
And I get that completely, where you try to, when you're going through grief, a healthy way to get through grief is having some normal days, having other days that aren't so normal and
Right.
happy. But
Right.
but I'm glad that you were able to make it with us as always, because we enjoy having you here.
Well, and y'all have been so supportive. If I don't cry. And I didn't know it was going to be like this. I thought we'd be talking about something else. I didn't think we'd be talking about my mother.
Well,
But it
you know what?
helped.
You have come on the air, and I've heard after your shows from a number of people who said, you know, I'm really glad. That was great advice from Candy. So we're here to help you. And when Brian died, Candy was the first one over at my house. I don't know if you knew that, Patti, but she was there first thing in the morning.
You bet.
Anyway, it is Pledge Drive, 972-647-1893. That's 972-647-1893. We'll be here a few minutes after the show. The next show is just walking in the door, so we can stretch a little bit. We might have to do the legal ID at top of the hour just to make sure that we're legal. But 972-647-1893. Give us a call and help us support community radio. And what we mean by community is that everything is produced and done locally. It's, nobody out of town is scheduling which music we should play. Nobody from corporate headquarters is telling us who we can have as guests on this show. And
we've been on since we were one of the original shows to go on the air when KNON went on the air.
first day the station was on the air. There was Lambda Weekly.
August of 1983.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, no, 82.
82. I thought it was
82. No, I think it's 82. We're because Dallas Voice started 83, and KNON went on the air the August before that. So I think it was 82.
So
I
our
think we're at
sweet
36th.
Sweet little phone answerer said, "I was in the 3rd grade."
Yeah, Candy, would you deliver a message to our phone answerer? Tell him shut up. Yeah,
I was finishing college.
Yeah, we've been here since then. I've been on.
I was right here.
Patti, Lerone, and I have been together since about 2000.
Right.
Lerone was on half a year or so before you were, and I started on the show in 1987. You guys ready? You're queuing up. Just push me out of the way when you need me to get out of your way. It's okay if you do. This is Lambda Weekly, and it is Pledge Drive. The number is 972-647-1893. That's 972-647-1893. We really do thank all the people who did pledge today. If you haven't pledged and you'd like to pledge, you can go online, knon.org, hit the Pledge Now button, and you will be taken right to the pledge page. Give us your basic information, how you'd like to pay, and choose a pledge premium, and tell them it's because you heard it on Lambda Weekly.
That's right, that gay show.
This is William, hopefully your favorite videographer from Two Hats Publishing. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like it, please leave comments below, or like, follow, or subscribe to us and get notices of all our videos. We love it, even when you call.